Welcome to Catella's Capital Markets Day. My name again is Andrew Smith. I've been working with Catella for over 10 years now. And in that time, I'm actually a Swede. And in that over 10 years, I've been based here in Sweden and in different parts for my penance in Russia at some time. For Catella, and also Poland, and more recently in the UK. Today you will hear from a number of different CEOs and some of the different products that we've raised. Some of you are invested in some of those products. But today I've been asked to give you a little introduction on the product that we are launching in Sweden most recently. And I'll introduce you to the fund manager and business development head of that group shortly. But I wanted to give you a little bit of an introduction as to why we think this is something that's interesting, and give you a little bit of a story as to the background of how it came about. And really the background is that over the past 12 to 18 months, we've created a number of different products for Swedish investors that are real estate related and are of course Swedish real estate. And our bank asked myself, Martin, some of the others within the corporate finance team, whether or not we could come up with a product that was outside of Sweden that would be slightly higher returning and hopefully relatively low risk as well. So given my background within Catella and working across Europe with our different offices, we looked at some different things in Finland, looked at some different things in the UK, looked at some different things in Spain with our teams there. And I think fundamentally, as you've heard from Arvid, what we see with, for example, Finland, is that we have a market that has probably bottomed out, but I don't see growth going at a very sharp rate there. And I think with Spain, whilst we've seen yields compress very much dramatically on the real estate side of things, fundamentally, economically, in Spain, we still see high unemployment and other such macro issues. And of course, excuse me, of course, it's not just about an idea. You have to have actually an opportunity that comes along as well. And about a year ago, I was in Munich at a conference, a real estate conference, and I sat down with the CEO of a group called Northern Horizon. And Northern Horizon is a fund manager. The CEO is a fellow called Michael Schönack, based out of Finland. He's an ex-Catella. He used to run our Finnish office some years ago. And we caught up and he talked about one of his funds, which was called Baltic Horizon. And Baltic Horizon is a group of people that I've met because I've been on the board of our Baltics business before and done work in the Baltics. Catella sold the largest sale and leaseback platform, which was SEB's property some years ago. So I have a very good feeling for the Baltics, and we've watched it go up and go down and come back. And I think my experience whilst having been in the Baltics is the Northern Horizon team is a group that have done a lot of very good things. And I guess when we look for a product for our bank's investors, there are a certain number of criteria that we really look for. One is, a lot of times different groups come to us and say, could you raise capital? Could you help us, please? And it will be a number of new people that might have left an investment bank with an idea and they're starting up something new. I'm not such a big fan of that because I think it's very important to see how a management team works and has had a track record over some period of time. So the thing I liked very much about the Baltic Horizon team is that it's a fund that's been active for 7 years, and it was coming to the end of its life. And normally at that point, it's time to either sell up the properties. But like I said to you before, when I met with their CEO of the parent group, I said, I think this would be something that would be very interesting to create a new product out of list in Sweden and attract new equity to do more. So the first thing is, we've seen a team that has a track record over a period of time. The second thing is, I don't like blind pools. I don't know if you know what that means, but in my world, a blind pool is a fund where you can't actually see or touch or feel the actual product that you're launching. So it's one thing when somebody comes and says, "Can we have some money? We've got an idea. This is what we're going to do." Here with the Northern Horizon Group and in this product, the Baltic Horizon project, you could actually see the existing buildings, which, in my mind, if you imagine the NK here in Stockholm and the shopping centre that's across the road from NK, that's the similar type of product that these guys have invested in. And then, of course, you have other shopping centres like this one, which you can't see so well, but there is a Rimi logo there, which is actually parented by ICA. So you have Swedish tenants in a Baltic project. So, one, you have a management team with a track record and a performance. Two, it's not a blind pool. You actually have assets that are already there. Three, I think what we also like to be able to see is that there is an anchor investor. And in this case, the largest investor in the fund is the Swedish Church. And the Swedish Church were very keen to stay on and have stayed on and will stay on. The fourth thing that we like when we look at different products is how is their ability to source new product and what is the pipeline like? And I'm going to introduce you shortly to Elgus, who'll talk a little bit about their ability. The fact that they've been there 7 years and been able to acquire these good products stands to good stead. But we decided to list this product in the Baltics. I don't know if you know, but the stock exchange in the Baltics is the same as it is in Stockholm. It's Nasdaq owned. So the team had already decided that there were two buildings that they wanted to acquire, and they'll talk about that shortly. One was, it's a very core product, brand new building, let to G4S, the global security company. And that has been a success in terms of raising the capital through Catella Bank for Baltic Horizon, listed on the Baltic Exchange. So what we're planning to do now is list co-list on the Swedish Stock Exchange. The fifth thing is, of course, performance. All of those things tick the box from our perspective, but we also want to see a performance of a vehicle. And why I like the Baltics and why we like the Baltics is we're seeing, as Arvid pointed out before in his discussion, is a growth that we're seeing from not only international companies and international banks like Barclays, etc., but also Nordic banks that are opening up back office operations in places like Lithuania, etc. And if you go to Vilnius, or to any of these Baltic states, the cranes are a good example of what is happening there. And I think the most important thing for me as a property guy is you have fundamentally good real estate with good, strong tenants, and I think that that's defendable. And I think that you're seeing a yield gap between if you bought that same product here in Sweden of about 200 basis points. And that's very hard to find at the moment in Europe. And I think that will compress. So I think we're seeing a time now where it's a very good time to be looking at the Baltics, and hence why we're presenting this product. But I think in terms of returns, we're looking at a dividend payout of around about 7 to 9% per annum. And the guys on the spreadsheets have come up with a return on equity of 14%, but I would say it's around about 15% IRRs. So again, that's the typical sort of higher returning vehicle that you're not going to see that kind of return off a Swedish real estate vehicle. How am I going for time?